This message is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Could there be hidden value in communication without words, and could it be a delicate balance of shared information that makes perfect sense? It's been said that oftentimes we can't avoid using words to communicate messages, and sometimes we're limited by the visuals we can include. Human visual literacy often starts at birth. As we get older, it aids in our understanding within the world we live and also the worlds we can imagine. Making mental associations with visual and modern electric instruments and mobile communication is unique for one species on planet Earth. Observations with our eyes using light helps people form mental images, and these images through sight helps us to form dreams, ideas and messages. A message in its most general meaning may only be an object of communication. However, are there hidden values in communication without words? Police teams, air traffic control, safety guards and investigative science all have visual guidelines for communication without words, but it's not like the visual language used by the ancients, nor is it like the special effects used in business, including film, action news, online media or even advertising arts. Being conversational, this may be the keys to goals in the workforce and for career objectives, but a message for discussion in visual literacy in business could be the hidden value in communication without words.
Our entire space race of the 1960s was in response to an event. If you breathe a word of what you've seen here, it will do time for treason.
Everything humans know of our planet, we were told, had been shared. You lied to us. You've made a grave mistake.
Workplace communication and how the poor use of words can undermine jobs, requiring a delicate balance when sharing in local business or enterprise around the world with or without technology. Every person who facilitates business or learning using computers and technology often do not include the language of visual literacy. Not knowing the hidden value of communication without words, this could destroy careers, business and life all across the world. Society is centered on jobs, business and government, but does the promotion of the super visual on screen and in pictures negatively impact our reactions, thoughts or feelings toward real disasters because they happen less often in life as they do at the cinema? Are these blockbuster movies a mockery, or should society be ready to face these situations more often as they transpire to terminate life and make most careers temporary? Some researchers have called similar concepts careerialism. This business theory is considered approved by career experts and top business partners such as health, insurance, finance, safety, education, federal, local and civil, and not just for one nation but across the whole world. Could the world endure such a disastrous recovery? Can you imagine globally shared catastrophes? Could destruction with multiple instances happening simultaneously across geographies be a nightmare? These thoughts are often suppressed, perhaps because it's inconceivable and perhaps unforeseeable, but still and yet it's observable in theatrical trailers, previews, cable and online. The hyperaccessibility of suppressed thoughts could be activated with stunning visual language seen in movies depicting the real and the imagined super visual effects. Workplace communication should be concerned with not just the changing nature of business but also the changing nature of communication to include communication without words. Could a short collection of cinematic clips and photos based on a similar message of salvation be convincing enough to influence competing theories? What if this message was like a familiar greeting derived from research gathered from scholarly and other scientific journals and history from across the world? Could this make any difference in the continuity of mankind? Are you a dreamer? If you are, then you can imagine our planet being met with destruction over and over again, like we see rarely at some locations on the globe and more frequently in graphic visual programs seen on television, blockbuster movies and shocking events that play out on digital news networks transcending border and safe habitable zones. The concept behind building a transformational matrix is easy to understand. But what does that matrix actually represent? A section of OpenGL programming describes a mechanism of interpreting a composite transformation matrix with multiple translations, rotations and scaling in terms of transitions between reference frames. However, this is said of 2D and 3D computer-based CG images. Can this help to predict and evaluate events that may take place in the real world? The collapse of life and the human species is not a part of our everyday experience. Unlike our theatrical counterparts, so is human visual literacy based on real or the imagined? It begs to differ that our observations and perspectives are somehow off-balanced, and if so, what does this mean for the future of the human species? Could the differences between observation and perception hinder the growth and development of an important person, capital idea, or maybe the birth of a nation? Perhaps an example could be some sort of corrupted information overload, series of natural disasters or multiple terror-type calamities. Can we only relate to real things we seek to understand and then use that insight to produce visual literacy to not confuse or distract the real with the imagined? In a major reference called Learning to See by Ryan Williams, 2012, it mentions that Americans mourning the assassination of the United States President Kennedy saw a grainy black and white video on the news and in their daily papers of images such as his casket, his grieving widows, and his young son's iconic salute. However, when their issue of Life a Look arrived, the images came alive in color, embedded within powerful written accounts. Now imagine that for active communication, a series of unprecedented events emphasizing calamity across the Mediterranean world eventually reaching the United States before responses could have been made. A terrifying disaster scenario such as this could redirect the way people do business and communicate, temporarily or indefinitely. The impact of a destabilized global environment could ultimately destroy business, economy and all life. Replace complacency with the spontaneous production of global chaos that could endanger a new nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Might the psychology of visual disasters help a cognitive species better prepare for a future of devastations by deconstructing the memory and entertainment to help reinforce our understanding? Starting
back through time to the center of the universe. Discover how a perfect angel transformed into Satan, the arch-villain. The birth of evil, a rebellion in heaven, a mutiny that moved to earth. Behold, the creation of a beautiful new planet and the first humans. Witness the temptation in evil.
It's written that for since the message spoken through angels was binding and every violation and disobedience received its just punishment, how shall we escape if we ignore so great a salvation? The identity of the messenger has been lost to time. However, the message has existed since prehistoric inception, Egyptian record and trade by Asians and Europeans. Now the message is defended by an American allied force of democracy despite validity and author unknown. More importantly, does forgetting the original source of certain life or death information in history or life become the catalysts for discrediting the source, thus rendering its evidence useless? Or are we naive to think that if our nightmarish science fiction fantasies became true and happened often enough that it's possible to perceive an alternative fate? Lest we forget that life-saving technology is best remembered when it doesn't fail beyond expectation and work according to plan. We might perceive the fallacies in these visual arguments relating to ancient locations, artifacts, written text or prehistoric pictographs, if the planet is seen to be more disposable and life away from was more pursuable. Researchers and scientists agree that it might be possible to colonize space against all odds. Exploration under oceans, underground and in mountains have been done. Why not space? These extreme environments can sustain life but at a cost.
The Earth is doomed. A devastating force is coming, and we're running out of time. As civilization crumbles around us and our planet is destroyed, can we build spacecraft to take us to new, habitable worlds? Can humankind escape annihilation? Can we evacuate Earth?
Earth. You may think you know it well.
I have doctorates in paleontology, archaeology, human ethology and metics. This is not who I am. It's simply what I know. I make the distinction, sir, because there's a difference in what a scientist knows and what they believe. That difference is proof. Do you feel that all the science in the world will never give us the answers we really want? Where we came from? Whether or not we are truly alone?
Provided that life was equipped with every resource that it needed to survive, the world's end always seemed to come, and until it happens, we go to work, school, church, temple and mosque, or simply suppress the thought with no contingency, while we dream and imagine, educate, and accomplishing goals. Isn't this valuable? Reimagining a new future in harmony with science and technology could prevent new world orders and spark global enlightenment yet again. Or is it just romantic to believe in salvation, perhaps because the world has only known otherwise, and this is evident in real life and in movies? A human's ability to read, listen, think and see in light may help us become more visually literate in business communication. This challenge is ongoing because there are many things that we see but don't yet fully understand, such as supernova, black holes and gravity, plus dark matter, which is new to the list. But until we can perform space and time travel, these mysteries will never make the list. Perhaps it is through education that important messengers and messages can be remembered. Visual literacy could help us to better see and imagine or predict our probable future. This is why hidden values in visual communication is important for understanding now and for the success and value of generations to come.